Hello everybody, my name is John Merlo, and I am here in Beacon Studios in Bakersfield, California. And I'm here to show you Acoustica 7.4. There's some new features in the update that are very useful, they're very powerful, and I just want to get into it and show you some things that help me in my workflow. So about my workflow, to better understand my workflow, you kind of have to understand what I do on a daily basis. I am a recording studio engineer. So I run the studio, I do mixing, I do mastering, I do tracking. I also do post-production for video, and we also do live sound capture for video. So that goes from short films to commercials to just anything in between that needs capture of sound. So let's jump in and go over some of these, some of the features that are in 7.4 update. I'm going to pull up what I've already got open here. So this is the Acoustica 7.4, and this is the premium version. It's very stylish, it looks good. There's a lot of things that are going on under the hood of this particular interface, and we'll just kind of start going over. So obviously, you know, you see the WAV file that we're going to be working on, or one of the WAV files that we are going to work on. And this particular piece of audio is it's a string section, very dramatic, very cinematic. But there happens to be a camera beep in the middle of it, which is horrible. Like, however that got there, I mean, this is for the sake of showing the features, but in real life, this happens if somebody is doing, if somebody's acting and they're in a part where they're heavy on, like maybe they might be crying or something, and somebody's phone goes off during the middle of the take. Like, it's not easy to ask the actor to, you know, to go back and start crying again so we could get a clean audio take. So in cases like that, I think there's a lot of value in being able to remove things like that, beeps, clicks. There's a couple other very important new, and what they're calling, I have it written down here, deep learning. That's kind of the phrase that Acon Digital is taking on, is like they're doing research and they're training these algorithms to really do things that haven't been done before, and it's a new world that we're kind of venturing into. For instance, one of the most tedious and one of the most heart-wrenching things in the past is doing outdoors video recording, right? And you have the boom, or you have lav microphones, and you have birds chirping. Now, birds are beautiful. It's a beautiful sound of a bird chirping, and it gives you a great sound normally. But sometimes you have birds that become distracting to the scene. And the last thing that you ever want to do is have, you know, nature of like birds taking over a scene that is supposed to be dramatic, or that's supposed to kind of convey some emotion. So dBird is another plugin that's new to the 7.4 update. Another one is Rotate Phase, and I'll show you a lot of these as well. Rotate Phase, we'll get deeper into that as well. Caption Editor. So as far as a caption editing, so when you're mixing or you're editing audio for film or audio for whatever you're doing, sometimes you have to leave a note, or sometimes it has to be, if you make any changes that are pertinent to it, or perhaps you're passing it off to another editor. Sometimes you want to leave notes for them to understand what's going on, or kind of pass on some information onto the next person that is viewing, or even for you later on, if you have to go back to the project down the road and you want to take a look at the notes, or remember why you did a certain thing to a certain clip. There's now Caption Editor, where it allows you to pretty much tag like little notes onto the clips and save them as like a text file, and be able to recall those without having a bunch of handwritten notes laying around. Very important plugins are the Reverberate 3. So we'll be doing testing on that as well. We'll actually do the audio and show you how, if you're in a large space with a lot of reflections and a lot of, going on, and maybe your microphone or whoever recorded it, their microphone maybe wasn't as close as that should have been to the source. So you're going to get a lot of room and a lot of things that you might not want in there, again, because they might take away from the performance of who's ever speaking. So Reverberate 3, we're going to talk about that. We're going to go into that, how you can reduce and sometimes eliminate unwanted reverberation. And Extract Dialogue is another important, powerful tool where you have a dialogue and there's things going on within. You're able to take, just pieces that you want. For instance, the talent, the actor is giving a monologue. You're able to take and pretty much suppress everything else except the voice, and it allows you to do other things. And even if you could even try to remove, get as much out as you can and replace it with other ambient noises or other sounds to just make the scene work. So very important. That would be more on the film side, the video side, but there are a lot of music related reasons to use something like this as well. For instance, if you have a loud microphone or a a loud room that you have a microphone in, or air conditioning, or a squeaky chair like this one, you can literally take these takes, like somebody singing a song and there's just some squeaking or something. You're able to go in to the Acoustica standalone plugin and remove that. Now, notice that I mentioned standalone because Acoustica is normally used as a standalone plugin. So you would put your files into it. This is the standalone here. You would put your files, you would come over here, you would do whatever enhancements, you would do all your stuff, right? Then you would render that project. You would pretty much burn in all those effects that you did into that file. And after that, then you would be responsible for entering it back into the DAW that you're using. So, in my opinion, the most important and the biggest up that we have here is that now Acoustica can be accessed ARA, which is audio random access. So ARA is it's pretty much marrying. It's giving these Acoustica and it's giving the DAW complete access to each other. Okay, so what that means is let me just show you. Okay, so we have a clip here, right? And we're going to give away what it actually is. It's a retouch demo and it's a camera beep. So let's take a listen to The audio, I'm certain that you're gonna hear the camera beep, right? And then I'm going to add ARA. I'm going to add Acoustica 7.4 via ARA, and then you're going to be able to understand why ARA is so important. Okay, so let's play this. Okay. Yeah. You heard that. We all heard that. I laugh because it's just so out there and it's so upfront and it's so crazy that let's hear it one more time. I'll kind of condense it. So clearly that's not supposed to be there. It ruins the whole cinematic thing that the music has going on. So we're responsible as sound guys or sound mixing or sound editing. This is our thing that we're going to have to, take into account. We're going to have to fix. Now, usually we would need to take this file, put this file in Acoustica standalone. We would do our edit, and then we would have to render it from the standalone and then import it back into Studio One in this case, so we could keep them keep moving. That's not what we're going to do today. We're going to do is I'm going to quit this standalone part, and now this is the power of ARA. So we're going to go here. We have our Acon digital stuff open. We're here. Okay. Now ARA is different. Adding it is different from DAW to DAW. I'm working in Studio One, and I'm going to show you how to do it in Studio One. You probably need to look in the manual, or you'll need to find another video if you're in a different DAW and you need to know how to add it. In this case, Studio One. So I'm going to Acoustica. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold Option on a Mac. I'm holding Option. Now I'm clicking on the plugin and I'm just dropping it. So one more time, just make sure I reiterate that. I hold down Option. I will grab the plugin with the mouse, one click, and keeping it clicked, I will go and drop it on top of the clip itself. Now we literally have Acoustica running inside of Studio One. Okay. Now, whenever I make changes to this clip within Acoustica, it will automatically update my file within Studio One. So we're going to go to this part in question here, like the one that we've already heard. And you can kind of see it already. You can see these beeps here. But I want to show you a different, more intuitive way to search out for problems in the audio. And it's going to be right here. So, and now we can definitely see our problem area. If you zoom in, we'll zoom in a little bit. And there's just something that we just know is out of place. We've already heard it. We already know that it's kind of ruining what we got going on here. So we'll zoom in. Now at this point, we're going to take and try to remove the beep without ruining the rest of the track in essence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through and I'm going to get a brush. You could use the magic tool, which will kind of like, it would try to outline what it thinks you're trying to find. But for this, I'm going to use the small brush because I think that works better for me. So I'm going to hold it down and I'm going to just do a little scrub. You'll see a little bit of this going on, a little bit of that. Right. So that's pretty close to what I want. So now I have the part that I don't want highlighted. Now I can come over here to this little magic wand with the star, and you can click and see all the different things that you can do. For instance, if let's say that sound is good. Let's just pretend that sound is what you want. In the scene, maybe something beeps in the scene and you wanted to keep the beep in, but maybe just not as loud as it is. You could come down and do the retouch strength and change it to whatever, less than completely trying to remove it. Or you could replace, but right now we're set to attenuate, and we want to get rid of it all. So we're going to keep it at 100, and we're going to set to attenuate 100. So now we'll come over here, and we're going to click our star wand. Now it turns in, and you'll see that you'll have this little arrow here. We're going to click that, and then there it went. It's gone. So now let's hear it. Notice that I didn't have to render it. I didn't have to do anything. So we're going to go from the start of here. You hear that? It worked really, really well. So again, I'm even going to take it a step further. I'm going to add, let's add a marker. Let's add a marker here. And we're going to name it beep, because this is where I want you to look. This is where the beep formerly was. Put somewhere right in here. Great. Outstanding. Yeah, so again, to reiterate how important ARA is, now if this is what I would, if this is all that I wanted to do, and this is a part of my workflow that how I would do it, okay? If I was done doing anything in Acoustica on this particular clip, I would take it here and then I would bounce this effect. In essence, and now you can see the actual beep went away, physically went away, because I rendered that audio in place inside the DAW. So now we have the benefits of our Acoustica cleanup, and I'm able to get it where I want it, and then I'm able to bounce it in place, and now there's no more Acoustica plug running. So we're gonna save a lot of CPU. If I'm running into let's say that I'm doing a short film, it could easily be 150 200 clips sometimes, and sometimes it's a huge running on your CPU. You don't want to get halfway through your project and your computer is just refusing to work because it's being overworked. So that's a very easy way to do your cleanup. Let's just bounce it, leave it in the DAW, and move on. Now we're able to go and add whatever else we wanted to do. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at an audio clip that has really heavy reverb and reflections in it that are not supposed to be there. And it's obvious that the room that this recording took place in was probably not treated with anything. But sometimes that's just how things are captured at the time. And sometimes you don't always have control over how things are captured. So what we're going to do is first we'll listen to it. We will address some of the issues with it, and then we'll try to use some of our tools in Acoustica to figure out what is the best way to get this audio to be not only to be usable, but to be good. We want it to be good, everything good. So let's listen to it first.
So, Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started?
Let's do it one more time.
So, Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started?
Okay, so like I said, room, reflections, bouncing. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go up and we're going to try to remove some of the reflections and some of the reverb stuff. So we're going to go to our de-reverberate, very powerful tool. And we'll take a look at the actual plugin itself. It's got some, different modes that it can go into. We're not going to dive super deep into it. That would be for you to do. But I just want to show you basics on how you can get started with this and then use it in your workflow wherever you're doing. So first we have really nice presets that could get you started. So there's music presets, there's voice presets, and then you could also save, things that you come up with that work for you as well. In this particular one, I have it set to reduce reverb. And that's what we're doing. We're in the voice section because that's obviously voice talking. So now we can look over here. We have voice or other. And again, we're going to stay on the voice, but it has different options depending on what you're using it for. It has a learn function, right? So that's our deep learning thing. That's where so many of these samples have been put into this algorithm, and it learns it, and then it creates these profiles to help you kind of get rid of what you need to get rid of and keep what you want to keep. Smoothing, so spectral smoothing, wet and dry, reverb level. It has input output, emphasis, and difference. Difference is cool because every difference button on the plugins that I use, it's showing you what it's getting rid of. So if you listen to the difference with the difference button clicked in, and you hear things that you don't want to get rid of, that's probably a bad sign. You probably have to tweak it a little bit more to get only bad things should be in the difference part. Down here you have your play, your stop, and also your bypass. So that's another thing that's really, I think is really cool, is when you work the plugin and you get it put on and you get it set correctly, there's really a sense of accomplishment when you hit the bypass button and you hear how bad it was before you started, and then you hear you unbypass it and you hear that, man, you really did it correctly. And it's a nice feeling, to be honest. I mean, I like it. So. And then it has our graph just showing our frequencies. So we'll start out, like I said, reduce reverb, and we'll just play it and see what it sounds like. We'll start it from the beginning here.
So, Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started?
Yeah, that was our one, and then we'll turn it on.
So, Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started? So, Melanie...
So you can hear a huge difference. Hopefully you have headphones in your listening. I'm going to go into it a little bit deeper, and first thing I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to bypass it in the middle of it so you can get that feeling of like, man, this thing is really working really well. So we'll go here, and I'll hit bypass about halfway through.
So, Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since...
Yeah, so you see, right when I clicked that bypass, it just brought you into this big tunnel again. And it went from a regular size room to like this big tunnel. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We don't want to seem like we're in the tunnel. So, And we could even reset this. Let's just reset it. And let's just see where, if we can set something to where we like it more than just kind of going with the preset that might not be all the way dialed in with what we're trying to do. Also, let's take a look at learn. So we'll unbypass this, we'll put learn.
So Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started?
Now, to me, it worked, but it took a little too much out. I feel like it took a little bit, because if you overcook this thing, it'll start sounding a little bit robot-y. So one thing I would suggest, and you can just take it, you can take it for what it's worth from me, that in my opinion, it's much better to take a plugin like this and run it lightly so it doesn't get that robot-y sound, right? Run it lightly and then run it again lightly. However many times that you need to run it lightly, opposed to really just cranking it one time, because if you're cranking it one time, it has a different effect on the audio than if you're gently pushing it multiple times. So for this one, we'll just go here. We'll try to smooth it out a little bit. And a lot of these, another thing is, if you're not familiar with this type of plugin or what it does, you just hover over the button and it's going to tell you the sensitivity, bass, reverb detection, and percent. So, you can hover over it and figure out what's going to work for you. Or if you don't know, just hover and read, and you can figure out most of this stuff on your own.
So Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started? So Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started? So Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school.
So yeah, I just you saw me like bypass the learn. You saw me mess with the sensitivity and the smoothing. It's just, you can just loop that thing as long as you need just to get it dialed in exactly how you feel like you want to do it. Also, emphasis, and we're going to read it. So enable or disable the reverb profile emphasis curve. So let's just see what this sounds like.
Some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started. So Melanie, as a mom of 2.
So you're not hearing a huge jump in difference, but that thing is just allowing you to fine tune all of the emphasis on whatever that you're working on. So at this part, I think it sounds better without it, in my opinion. And then you can also turn this, these knobs off as well. So let's listen to that.
So Melanie, as a mom of 2 kids that go to this school, what are some of the big changes you've seen in your kids since they started?
Yeah, so it gave it a little bit more body, but it brought back a little bit of the reverb too. So again, this is totally up to you and at your discretion. A lot of musicians, audio engineers, filmmakers, we don't come from $1 million budgets all the time. Sometimes you have to just work within your means and work with what you have, but still are expected to do good work and expected to have these really great projects. So the price point for Acoustica 7.4, even if you get like the premium one, the best one, is outstanding price point. So I would encourage everybody to at least take a look and budget for it and make the decision, because having these tools, you'll never know how much you really like them or how much you really need them until they're not there. So take a look at it. My name is John Merlo. I really enjoyed being here and showing you these plugins, and hope to see you soon. I appreciate you. Have a good day.